Hi, I'm Jeff Sachs, Director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, and very jealous of all of you who are celebrating IIASA's 40th anniversary at the Hofburg in this absolutely remarkable conference. My travel schedule, which had taken me to Asia, made it impossible for me to be with you in person. I'm very grateful for the chance to be able to join you briefly by video. But I am jealous of you for being there because I'd love to be with you, not only for the historic surroundings and obvious beauty of the location, and not only because of the remarkable company and members of this conference, I think unparalleled in the gathering that you have, but also to be able to say, and I wish I could say it in person, thank you and congratulations to IIASA, which is a unique institution and an absolutely pioneering institution, and simply one of my favorite places for intellectual leadership in the whole planet. IIASA, of course, is the pioneer of systems thinking and the pioneer of integrating social, economic, and environmental considerations into rigorous and quantified analysis. And IIASA has been doing this well before it really started to catch on widely. IIASA developed many of the first GIS-based models of agriculture systems, of global population, of course, of energy and climate dynamics. And it's a contribution of lasting importance because it has helped to provide a fundamental framework for a world of research and now strong policy analysis around the key issues of the day and the key issues of the century, the ones that bring us together for this 40th anniversary. I think that if anything defines our era, I would say that it is the challenge of sustainable development. And that is a challenge that I like to summarize as the triple bottom line. The challenge of economic improvement, especially for the poorest countries, and especially meaning the end of extreme poverty. Social inclusion in a world that is absolutely still racked by inequalities of opportunity, wealth, income, by many different divisions, whether it's gender, ethnicity, religion, race, geography. And the third pillar, of course, environmental sustainability, which looms ever larger in our need for concern and directed attention. That agenda of sustainable development, of a holistic approach to society that combines economic, social, and environmental considerations is, of course, at the core of the holistic and systems approach of IIASA. And IIASA has been a pioneer of that effort, but we need this more than ever. We know that the world has some absolutely central drivers right now that we need to understand in a far more fundamental way if we are going to be able to harness our technologies, our know-how, our political and social cooperation to achieve the objectives that we want. Let me mention briefly what I take to be those fundamental drivers. The first, of course, is globalization in its intensive modern form, which has made possible a remarkable extent of convergent economic growth over the last 30 years. We've had a very powerful period in which the low and middle income countries, on average, have been able to achieve a faster economic growth than the high income countries through technological leapfrogging and through integration of the poor and the middle income countries into global technologies and global production systems. I think there still is room for that kind of convergent growth in the future. It's politically challenging. It's at a global scale. It's challenging to achieve at a national and a local scale. We know that there are some parts of the world, the very poorest, that are not yet part of that convergent growth. The Horn of Africa, the Sahel, Central Asia. Typically, those regions that are left behind or being left behind have some significant physical challenges to overcome, as well as socio-political challenges. Maybe they lack all forms of fossil fuel energy. Maybe they're landlocked and distant from international trading centers. Often they have a high degree of endemic disease, such as the countries of tropical Africa, beset by a burden of malaria and other vector-borne tropical diseases with a unique intensity in sub-Saharan Africa for many deep ecological reasons. So convergence is an average trend, but we should pay some particular attention to those countries not part of that. Now, a second rather fundamental trend, of course, is the environmental side effect of a world that has reached 7 billion people as of last October, according to the UN's population clock, and is on track to reach 8 billion by 2024, 9 billion by 2044, 10 billion by 2084 if the UN medium fertility forecast unfolds. And this is rather alarming when combined with the rise, which we desire, of per capita incomes. That $70 trillion economy, I don't have to belabor the point, is bearing down on every ecosystem, every basic primary commodity class of minerals, of agroforestry outputs, of fisheries, of the provisioning of every major ecosystem, and of depletable resources such as our fossil fuels and our fossil water. But at the same time, because of the loading of the atmosphere with greenhouse gases and the loading of the rivers and estuaries with phosphorus and nitrogen and other pollutants, we have a growing catastrophe of anthropogenic environmental change, whether it's climate change, ocean acidification, habitat destruction, massive pollution loadings of more than 125 estuaries around the world, and so on, all likely to get worse. The fact that the geologists have proclaimed the new era of the Anthropocene, I think, is a helpful guide to us, but of course a terrifying one. The idea that we are in a geologic epoch in which humanity drives fundamental forces of carbon, nitrogen, water, and other fluxes. We're not ready for it, and it's extremely damaging. Now, on a somewhat more positive side, we are also in an era of remarkable technological breakthrough. And when IIASA called this conference Science to Policy, it's not only the science of the warnings of climatologists or hydrologists or oceanographers or ecologists. It's also the science that's finding its way into remarkable technological breakthroughs. I'm in the category that believes that the information and communications technology revolution is not a small deal. There's some people who say, okay, it's a smartphone, but what of it? I believe that it's very deep and that ICT, and more fundamentally than that, Moore's Law, the billion-fold capacity to store, transfer, and manipulate data that has occurred during the last half-century plus, will have a fundamentally transformative role in all aspects of the world economy, certainly in my sector of education, transformation, in primary health care, in genomics, in nanotechnologies, in transport, in energy systems. I believe that it offers at its core this profound improvement of knowledge management, information manipulation, collection, and transmission, some tremendous inroads to succeed in sustainable development. So I would put this technological revolution, of course, is the third main driver, except to note that as Vienna's own Joseph Schumpeter famously said, technological change comes with the gales of creative destruction. And we will see massive disruptive change, as we now call it, as part of this digital and information ICT revolution that we're in. The final main driver that I would stress is population change. And that is so important, mainly because the continuing rise of populations and the continuing high fertility rates in the world are in the poorest countries. It worries me a lot that sub-Saharan Africa is on a path right now, according to the medium fertility trajectory of the United Nations, to rise from 856 million people in 2010 to a projected 3.3 billion people by 2100. I don't believe that's going to happen, and if Africa came anywhere close to that happening, I think it would be devastating ecologically and devastating socioeconomically as well. Poor people cannot continue to have 6, 7, or 8 children and expect that those children are going to be able to be productive members of the mainstream of world society and world technology. We are going to need to help through family planning and through access to contraception and women's empowerment and girls' education to facilitate a voluntary but I hope rapid reduction of fertility rates from 6 or 7 in poor rural households down to below 3 in a short period of time. I'd hope the world could voluntarily stabilize at 8 billion or fewer by mid-century. I think we'd all be much better off. More importantly, our children and their children would be better off in a world where population is stabilized and on a voluntary basis is even in a gradual decline after that. Well, these are the fundamental transformers. They are a balance of dire risk and tremendous opportunity. We've seen during the now dozen years of the Millennium Development Goal period from 2000 till now, which has 3 more years to run till end 2015, real progress when we've taken big challenges and put our mind to how to achieve them. Of course, the world is now in a very active, very healthy, very dynamic discussion of what should follow the MDGs. I don't want us to lose track of achieving all that we can by 2015, but the post-2015 agenda is also crucial in my view. We do need a new set of goals. I would recommend a new set of sustainable development goals for the period 2015 to 2030. As has roughly been called for in the Rio Plus 20 summit, where SDGs were identified, though not a time frame for them. I do believe those SDGs should have basically 4 pillars: ending extreme poverty, social inclusion, facing the realities of the Anthropocene by decarbonizing the energy system, making a resilient food system for all regions of the world, helping to stabilize the global population, making our cities livable. And a 4th pillar, in addition to economic, social, and environmental, of good governance. Good governance by our governments, of course, at all levels, committing them to sustainable development, but also good governance of other social organizations like our companies, and especially our multinational companies, that they need to behave, that they need to respect environmental boundaries, to be transparent in their dealings, honest in their dealings, not grabbing land or hiding behind tax havens or anonymous post office boxes as they go out in the world. And so good governance is something that goes beyond government. Well, all of this, the idea of a new set of global goals, is really, in my view, at the core of our sustainable development hopes. If we are to move technology, know-how, and good science to policy, having a framing in which we have objectives and a shared understanding of where the planet needs to head, one that ends poverty, promotes convergence, promotes social inclusion, promotes environmental sustainability, and good governance will help us get there. I think IIASA will have, of course, a glorious next 40 years in being one of the major institutions to help achieve sustainable development. It's always been my honor at every opportunity that I've had and my great learning experience to partner with IIASA on any and all of its wondrous activities as a pioneer in this area. I'm looking forward to 40 next fruitful years of IIASA's leadership. I hope I can have the high honor and opportunity to be part of some of that. Thank you for including me in this wonderful conference, and all best wishes to all of the conference participants and, of course, to IIASA. Congratulations and happy birthday.